and welcome back to a new watercolour tutorial. Today I'm going to be painting this cute little cottage in watercolour. I'm using Daniel Smith watercolours, Archie's watercolour paper. Everything will be listed in the description below, all the colours that I'm using. If you're wanting to paint along, you can download the outline on my Patreon page. That will also be linked below and in the description. If you want to watch the real-time version, because this one is obviously cut, those are also available on my Patreon, and all the links are below. So mix the roof colour. So it's the Jane's Grey or Payne's Grey. If you don't have Jane's Grey, just use Payne's Grey. And a little touch of the Ultramarine mixed in, and then I'm going to mix up the Sepia with a little bit of the Jane's Grey. So we've got a kind of bluey grey colour and a more warm browny grey colour. I'm just using a really small mop brush. This is a number 1 mop brush by Meeden, and I'm gonna, oops, it's got paint in it. I'm gonna wet the roof area. Just kind of where the roof tiles are. And then I'm just gonna drop the roof colour in. Next I'm going to wet all of the stone area. So we've got this ridge in between, so it'll keep this paint away from that paint while that one dries. So carefully go around all the windows. Folded on the lawn chair in all the colours. Summer love. I'm going to go over this stonework area. Just don't want to go onto the actual door frame because that's going to be a completely different colour. Honeysuckle, fresh cut grass. I could really use some stuff. Now that that's all wet, just add a little bit more water in there. It's starting to dry up a little bit. Now I'm going to drop the colour in, but we want it to fade out around this bottom area here because we're going to put coloured flowers and foliage here. Just going to drop it in. Only want it to be super light. That's quite dark, but I want it to be light because I'm going to paint in all the little stones. I'm going to really spread that out into the water. I'm also going to draw a few of these brick lines back in because I've lost some of them with that paint. I mean, these can kind of be any shape. Probably not going to match the picture now, but that's okay. Should still look effective. Just got to remember to make some of them quite large. You want them all different sizes. Okay, so because we're going to have flowers here and foliage and flowers here and here, so I'm going to make up a little bit of sepia again, just a tiny little bit, and then I want like a lighter tan colour, so I think I'll go with this Rose Sienna Light. I'm going to use a little round zero brush, so just a little small one, and just with the tip of the brush I'm going to go around the edges. I want that even more watery. Oops. It's going to go around the edges of all of the stone, and then kind of bring it in a little bit on some edges, and it'll give it like a bit of a three-dimensional kind of effect. So just do like an outline of all the stones first of all, and then we'll go on to fill in the cracks. So I'm not really thinking much about the bits in between, just each stone, and then we'll do the bits in between afterwards. We're going to do a few layers actually to build this stonework up, so it could be a little bit tedious, but it's also kind of relaxing if you look at it more that way and just concentrate on each stone. And then I'm just gonna kind of end it there and do the same on this side, just like I did here. I'm gonna get some of that colour that I used, the base colour, so it's got a little bit of the brown and a little bit of the grey mixed in together, and I'm going to paint that on the steps. So we're going to leave the top surface light, so this looks like stone as well. And then the same for this bit, so that we've got this surface here that looks like the second step, hopefully. Just make it uneven so that it'll be kind of jaggedy looking. We'll put some more layers over later on. I'm going to get some of the light sienna colour, and then just on just an odd few random bricks, I'm going to make them just here and there, like a few more tan coloured bricks. And then I'm going back to that really the base colour, which was the sepia mixed with the Jane's grey, and we want it quite strong. And now I'm going to go in between the bricks here and there and just create little bits of shadow. I'm saying bricks, I mean stones. So not all the way right round every single one. It's like these little corners and things. Just very similar to what I did with the other stone house. The little tower, the little stone tower. Just I want to be careful not to overdo this part. because it can just look too much if there's every single one has dark shadows around it. And then I'm going to water that down a little bit so it's not quite as strong. And then just add some more bits, like for example, if we take this one here, just strengthen that shadow area and then kind of fill in these cracks. Oh, I wasn't recording that bit. I just used the colour that I used for the roof and I went over this area, just filled that in with a very light layer of that. Now I'm going to mix a little bit of colour up for the windows and the door. So I want a nice red colour. So that is Pyrrole Scarlet. We don't need much because it's only a tiny area. I'm going to add a little bit of pink as well, so Quinacridone Rose, so we've got a nice pinky red, and I'm going to paint this on quite watery and carefully, and I'm just using the little zero brush. Then I'm switching to a larger brush and I'm going to paint the inside of the door. Now I'm going to get some Serpentine Genuine. I'm going to get a little bit of Cascade Green. I'm going to get a little bit of Permanent Rose, some of the Hansa Yellow Light, so it's just like a light yellow. I'm going to get some of this new Gamboge, just put that one there, and some of the Aussie Red Gold. So we've got an orange, a yellow, an orangey yellow and a pink, and a couple of different greens, a more cool green and then a warm green as well. I'm just going to paint the base layer of the foliage. So I'll start with the Aussie Red Gold, and I'm just going to dot in some little flowers, just put them in random places as though there's some kind of flowers across the top of the door, just little dots. Get a bit of the new Gamboge and drop some of that in as well. I'm actually going to get just a little bit of Pyrrole Red and drop a few bits of that in. Maybe make some of them a little bit bigger. Join some of them together so they don't look kind of too uniform. Now I'm getting this little rigger brush, just a little mini rigger, one of my faves from Rosemary and Co. And I've got the Serpentine Genuine, and I'm just gonna create some kind of grass to the side of the house here. I'm gonna leave a gap here because we want some, I'm not gonna go right to the edge of the house because we want some flowers as well underneath. I'm just trying to create some brush strokes, and then I'm getting some of that Cascade Green quite thick and dropping that in at the base, just letting that kind of spread upwards a little bit. Make them a little bit thicker with the... I want to make sure I leave enough white space at this side and then the same at the other side, so that the picture looks nice and balanced. And then over at this side of the house, I'm going to add, I've got the Cascade Green, I'm making it super watery. Just dot in some foliage as though there's kind of like a tall tree there. That darker green, that Jadeite Genuine, and I'm going to drop that in the bottom here. Really strong, I'm getting it right from the pan. It's nice and strong on the brush. And dropping it in at the edge of the house here. I'm just going to leave that to dry. Then with the light Hansa yellow, I'm going to do some yellow flowers here. Just dot those about. Then drop some of the new Gamboge in here and there. And some of the pink Quinacridone Rose colour. Some more pink over here. Some more long grasses here. Using the Serpentine. Sorry that wasn't recording. I did that with the Aussie Red Gold and a little bit of new Gamboge. I just coloured the frame in there and this little bit. Right, so we've more or less got the base layer down for just about everything. I think it's looking quite cute. And now we'll add all the shadow areas. So I'm going to experiment with this colour here, Ostwald Grey. It's supposed to mix with any colour to give a shadow colour, and then I'm just looking at the back and it's unfortunately it's got black in it, so let's see what it's like. We'll just experiment. It's just the black kind of makes it makes watercolour look like dirty, dull, as like a dull kind of haze on it. It doesn't always look good, but I'll try it out. So this is a Winsor Newton colour. I'm going to change the colour of the door and the window frames to make it a little bit more red. So what I'll do is I'll get the red, just the Pyrrole Red, and just glaze over those colours. So glazing is just like a thin layer of another colour to kind of change the colour a little bit. And we've still got the pinky colour underneath, so that'll glow through a little bit. It's just that they're just looking a little bit too pink, and then the pink flowers aren't really standing out. And we'll experiment with the Ostwald Grey. While that's drying, I'll mix some of the Ostwald Grey. I hope this works. Oh, it's really strong actually. And then I'll get some of the Pyrrole Red. So that should be like a shadow colour now. Get a little bit more. Oh, it really does look like a shadow red colour, but will it look too dingy? Okay, so back with the smaller brush, and we're going to put a lot of this in shadow. But I'm just wondering if it's going to make it look super dull. Oh, that is so dark. I don't want it that dark. Just water it down a little bit. No, we want it stronger red. I could mix some more red into that. And we'll try that. We'll just make it a bit lighter because we can always go darker, can't we? If it's not quite dark enough. So we'll put the shadow area kind of across here. So it looks like that's all in shadow. This is all in shadow. A little bit across there. So if you imagine the shadows kind of like going across this way, all this would be a lot lighter. I mean, we can lift some of it out if it looks a bit too much. I'll do the same with the other areas. It's very thick, it's almost like gouache at this point. Now I'll do the same with the Aussie Red Gold for the frame. Get a little bit of our grey. Probably don't need too much. Just going to dry this off. And then all this is going to be in shadow. And then we'll bring it round to meet the edge of this shadow here. Actually, make it a little bit more jaggedy. Cut it off kind of like there. So we'll just leave that bottom corner sticking out. Let's hope it works. Oh, it's looking nice. I wanted to just give the illusion of a strong shadow falling over the doorway. And it does actually look quite effective. Now I'm going to get the Jane's Grey and paint all the little window panes. Right, I'm going to move on to the roof, and I'm using the Jane's Grey again, or Payne's Grey. They're both very similar. And I'm going to paint in another layer on this. So we want to get the little roof tiles in. I'm just using a small brush. And it's quite watery. I'm going to leave this edge quite light, as though the sun's shining on it. Now we're going to make some parts of the roof even darker. So I've got a much stronger mix of Payne's Grey, and I'm going to go under this ridge here. Under here. Under here. And then I'm just going to create a kind of edge line down this side, because this side's going to be highlighted with the sunlight, but there'll be a dark shadow right in that edge there, right in that crack underneath. And then I'm going to put a shadow here as well, and then underneath some of the little roof tiles. And then just kind of emphasising some of these little roof tiles a little bit more. And where I'd put the pencil lines, I'm just going to put some hints of roof tiles. They're covered up now, most of them. So we want a ridge across, actually. A ridge across the top. And then just some hints of roof tiles. I'm just looking at my picture to see where they were. Doesn't really matter where you put them. It's just to give the impression that the roof is tiled. And it adds a little bit of shadow into the chimney area with this stone colour, like a darker version. Now for the window sills. I want it to look like it's kind of cut out of stone. So I'm rounding off the edges and creating a little bit of shadow, as though it's kind of just where the stone was cut. Do the same here. I'm just getting that Ostwald Grey again on the red mix. I'm just gonna do a little bit of fiddling with some tiny little shadows. So right in the corners here. Underneath the window ledge. Make these window panes darker, just in the shaded areas. Yeah, I think this is a really good shadow colour actually. I'll probably use this a lot more. Yeah, it's really put those windows into shadow, hasn't it? So got the sepia. I'm going to mix a little bit of the Ostwald Grey into that. It's very opaque, that Ostwald Grey. And then I'm going to do a big shadow here.
I just want to go out on a walk with you. Baby, you know I just like to talk with you. You don't have to tell me anything that's new. I just want to go out on a walk with you. I just want to see your shadow next to mine, sailing over pavement with our two outlines. I like to see the shape you're in from time to time. I just want to see your shadow next to mine. I just want to see the same things you can see.
It's kind of the perfect shadow colour for stonework, I think. And then I'm going to go over these bits with a brighter red because that's looking a little bit washed out. So I'm just going to glaze over that, a brighter red, and then the same with the orange. I'm going to add some bits of green in among these flowers, just kind of try not to cover them up, but drop some green in there. I'm just using the Serpentine Genuine. And then I'm getting a much darker green. Yeah, I'm going to get that Jadeite Genuine. Super dark. And then just add some really dark bits in among the green. And then I'm going to get some of the shadow colour and I'm going to drop that in kind of underneath like this, so that it looks like this foliage is creating shadow onto the stone underneath it. Just fill all that area in there. Go a little bit further down on this side so that it looks like a shadow off that. Now I'm going to move on to this area here. So we want some more greens. So I'm going to use the Serpentine Genuine, just kind of dot it in because this is all going to be just green. I'm going to add a little bit of gouache as well, a little bit of water, some of the Jadeite Genuine, get it nice and dark next to the steps. Some water. Just bringing a tiny little bit across here under the step. Just make some of these a little bit darker, so they'll stand out a little bit more. And now I'm just going to spray all the gouache colours, and I'm just going to dab some of these areas just to brighten it up a little bit more. Just going to dab it onto the actual little orange bits. So I've got white, and I'm going to mix a little bit of crimson into that to make a nice light pink for the pink flowers. And then I'm going to drop some of the crimson in here and there. And I'm going to drop some white in as well. Not getting these right again. This is definitely my weak spot. I think I'll make it darker underneath, kind of like this. Maybe that'll look a little bit better. Got some darker green. I'm just adding some kind of undergrowth to these flower bushes. Doing a kind of a line where the actual ground starts, just to define where the ground starts there. Okay, so that's what that looks like so far. I think I'm probably going to leave the flowers like that, and I'm just going to add some final little touches of shadowing in certain areas. I'm going to go back to the watercolour for this, and I'm going to use this Lunar Black. So I'm going to go just in certain areas. I'm going to go down here. going to darken these bits here. So I think we're going to have to go down here as well. Under the chimney. It's going to go right in these little crevices next to the windows, just to the top and the left, around the bottom of the steps. I'm going to create a little bit of shadowing around here on the steps. And now I'm going to add some highlights with gouache. So, edge of this windowsill, that'll make that stick out a little bit more. And I think I'll put a little bit on some of these bricks, like lighten this one up a little bit. The light will be catching on some of these. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the Learner Black in these windows because they're just looking a little bit too pale, just in the shadow area. And to put the door handle in, this is something I quite often forget to do. And then I'm going to rub on the edge of this, because it's just a harsh line and I just need to blend it a little bit, but I don't want to lose the lightness on the step. Okay, so that's the end of the painting. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've painted along. Please remember, if you're watching on YouTube, that the full length tutorial where there's nothing cut out, that's actually available to watch on my Patreon. It's on the Creative Spirits tier, and if you already signed up to that, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you're enjoying the videos and all the extra videos I've been putting on there. And I'll be back next Friday with another watercolour tutorial. So thank you very much for watching.
Baby, you know I just like to talk with you. I just wanna go out on a walk with you. Baby,